Hello and welcome to the Archie Luxury channel, and I'm Archie Luxury. Today I want to talk about display backs. That's right, I received a viewer email and this person sent me a link. There's a company that sells display backs which you can add to your Rolex or Omega Speedmaster or your Breitling so that you can show off the back. Now I've got a couple watches which have factory display backs. That's my Patek Calatrava and also my Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso Grand Date. But this is the first time I've seen display backs which you can add to existing pieces which were never released by the factory with display backs. And it's certainly a very interesting concept, and I can see why there'd be a lot of interest in it there. There's my beautiful Patek Philippe. However, look at my Patek's movement. And in a minute you'll see an Omega come up. What's the difference? Why is my Patek display back so much nicer than the Omega or any Rolex that's about to come up? And that's because none of these other watches, these watches that don't have display backs, their movement is very utilitarian. It's not meant to be shown off. It's fucking ugly stuff under there, okay? Yes, it's reliable. Yes, it's long lasting. But look at this Daytona movement. It's pretty utilitarian. It's pretty ugly, if you know what I mean. If you know anything about watches, you'd look at that movement and say, fuck, that's no Geneva seal. And this is the whole thing. These watches here were never meant to have display backs for very good reasons. The movements weren't finished. It's sort of like, it's like many people think anything old or antique is always the best of craftsmanship. It was always built well. Well, let me say this to you. The reality is old stuff, a lot of old stuff was made fucking cheap and it was done very, very poorly. You know, everyone thinks, oh, look at the old classic cars. Look at a Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost. Yes, the Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost is a very well-made car. Compared that to a Ford Model T. The Model T was done on a production line. It was built very stodgily. This is if you can find an original one, because most Model Ts have been over-restored to perfection. But the reality is, they were never meant to be a luxury type car. And this is the same thing. These movements, Rolex movements, I love my Rolex. I've got an Explorer 2 and I love it to bits. But the reality is, the movement is not nice enough to display. It should be hidden. It's when I say why isn't it nice enough? Well, you look at the Patek Philippe movement. It's got polished parts, chamfered edges, no 90-degree angles. It's a piece of horological art. You look at a workhorse Rolex movement. Sure, it's an automatic watch. It's a mechanical watch, but it ain't no fucking Mona Lisa. And this is the whole thing. I think, really, if you're going to have a display back, the movement needs to be worthy of display. In Breitling's case, it's using a shitty Valjoux 7750 movement. That's a noisy fucker. It's not a nice chronograph, okay? It's a stock standard. Hamilton uses it. You know, it's an okay chronograph, but it ain't no fucking Mona Lisa. And this is the thing. The watch needs to be worthy of having a display back. And unfortunately, a lot of these pieces just aren't worthy of it. I mean, this is the whole problem. And you just have a look at my Patek movement here. Look at that movement. Look how it's prepared and polished, no 90-degree angles. Just look at the finish on it. Now, if you compare that to a Rolex movement, it's just absolutely fucked. It's just got it doesn't deserve to be shown off. So my answer on this here is I think it's a very novel idea. I can understand why you'd want to do it, but don't be a dickhead, okay? The movement is not worthy of display, and I think it's best if you just don't damage the waterproofing integrity, and I think it's best just to leave your Rolex the way it is. If you want a real piece of art, you need to get a movement which is made by a Holy Trinity member, Audemars Piguet, Vacheron and Constantin, or Patek Philippe. That's what you've got to do with the Geneva seal or the Patek Philippe seal. Anything else is just a compromise, and it's not worthy of display. And this is the whole thing. Don't rush in there thinking everything should be, displayed. Rolex's movements They're a good workhorse. I would certainly not going to criticise them, but fuck me dead, they aren't worthy of display. And that's my opinion. I'm Archie Luxury. Tell me what you think.